Hi, Lou Manfredini, Ace's Home Expert. In this video, I'm going to show you how to install a fill valve on your toilet. Okay, the first thing we're going to do is shut the water off to the toilet and remove the line that feeds the toilet valve currently. So we're going to turn this water off. Now this is a demo toilet, so there's no water in it. You may want to put a bucket or a rag down below here because when you loosen this nut that's connected to the toilet, you may get a little water coming out of the hose and you want to just collect that water. So that's just going to drop down and a little bit of water is going to come on here, but not all the water from the tank will come out. Again, this is a demo toilet, so there's no water inside of it. When you do this work, you're going to want to get rid of the water as well. So go ahead and flush that toilet and get as much of this water out of here as you can. And typically what will end up happening on the bottom is you'll end up with a little bit of water because it won't go over this flush valve. So you may want to use a rag to wipe that up, because when we take this fill valve out, there'll be a hole at the bottom and all the water will run out. So it's a good idea too to put a small bucket underneath there to collect that water. And you know, most of these fill valves on modern toilets, meaning a toilet that's 20 years old or younger, this is all plastic. Once you kind of loosen it, you go ahead and take that nut. When you start to loosen this and you see this kind of wiggle a little bit, this is where water will start to drip down. That's where you want a little bucket there to collect it. All right, with the nut loosened, this is the fill tube right here. You can typically just kind of pull this off and get that out of your way. And then the old fill valve you'll pull up. Now you'll see at the base of the toilet here, there's a little hole, right, where the china is, and water's going to come out here. If you notice that this is a little dirty, just go ahead and clean this up with a sponge. This new fill valve has a little rubber gasket in here that's very pliable and will seal. Now in this particular unit, the float is internal here, and you can adjust the height of this unit based on your toilet. Typically this line, this little cutout on this particular one, is the water level. So with the adjustment there, with the water level here, it's a little bit too high. You want to make sure that the water level is below the top of the overflow tube. So I'm going to go ahead and adjust that back down a little bit. And you're just going to have to eye this. But you can also adjust this down the line. Now before I put this all the way in, I'm going to put this tube, this is the fill tube, on the end of this. It's just easier to do not inside the toilet, and kind of wiggle that there. So now that is set. I'm going to go ahead and put this down into the hole. You'll feel it kind of fit in there, and you're going to position this so it's out of the way of the handle. And then I'm going to install the new nut underneath here. You want to make sure that the rubber gasket on the other side is sitting well. Then you take the new nut and you tighten it on there by hand. And while you don't want to over tighten this, you just want to make sure it doesn't leak. So you want to get it nice and tight, and I usually use my hands to get it as tight as possible. Then I'll take those slip joint pliers to give it a little tighten to make sure that everything sits nice and tight and there's no leaks. After that, we're going to go ahead and replace the water line that you just took off. Now this too is a finger tighten assembly that I have here. So you're going to start with your hands to get that nice and tight, and you want to make sure that you're positioning this hose so that it's not sideways as you set it, because there's a rubber gasket there, typically on these flexible ones, that you want to be able to have sit perfectly inside here so there's no leaks. And this one you probably get away with just tightening it by hand. These tubes come in different sizes. Sometimes they'll fit right back inside that sleeve, sometimes they won't. On this one, I'm going to try it, and it's a little too big, but if I just put it down inside there like that, it's not going to go anywhere. And it's going to fill up once you turn the water valve on. And it's as simple as that. Coming up next, how to replace a flush valve on a toilet.